Welcome back, children. Now we will be studying mechanism of stomatal transpiration. That means till now you know that stomata are present in the lower epidermis of leaf, and this is the opening through which water can be lost or gases can be exchanged. So as of now we will be studying what is the mechanism of transpiration through the stomata. Before I move with any further thing, children, I would like to bring two things to your kind notice. That the first thing is the shape of the stomata. If you see that one of the shape comes as a dumbbell, can you see? Now this is a dumbbell shaped stomata. And the one that we are studying is kidney shaped stomata. Children, dumbbell-shaped stomata are the characteristic feature of monocot. In monocot plant, you will be finding the shape of the stomata dumbbell-shaped. Right, children? Keep this in your mind. And kidney-shaped stomata are present in dicots. First thing for today. Right, monocots are dumbbell-shaped stomata. Dicots have kidney-shaped stomata. Right. Another difference that you should be knowing is dicots. As of now, the diagram that you are seeing is a dicot, transverse section, vertical section of the leaf. When we slice of the leaf from its waxy coating till the bottom, in that case, you will be finding stomata abundant on the lower epidermis. Right, children? You will hardly be finding any stomata. Rare cases are there where you will be finding the stomata at the upper epidermis. They are mostly abundant on lower epidermis. But when you talk about monocots, in monocots, the first thing is cuticle is absent. They don't have shiny waxy coat on their leaves. You can see a maize plant or grasses that you see, they are never shiny, so they don't have cuticle on the top. Another thing is this stomata are amphistomatal arrangement is there. That means at the top also you will be finding this stomata, and at the bottom too. That means both the surfaces, upper epidermis as well as lower epidermis, both the surfaces are going to transpire. That's why monocots don't have any mechanism to reduce the water loss through transpiration. They undergo transpiration very quickly. They lose much amount of water when compared to dicots. Dicots have this mechanism that they lose water only from the lower end, because at upper epidermis hardly they have any stomatal apparatus. I hope you will keep this in mind, children. Alright, let me erase this up. Fine, children. So let us come back to this diagram. You can see that I have drawn a leaf. Now what you have to see is, if a leaf is drawn, please don't think that I have sliced it in the horizontal way. It is the vertical way. That means your section will be a thread like structure, right? A thread, because leaf is very thin, it doesn't have much width, right? The upper waxy coat of the leaf, shiny surface, is cuticle. You can see it here. Then just beneath is the layer, single celled layer, epidermis. It is, since it is the upper one, you call it upper epidermis. Below the upper epidermis, you have now whatever cells are there in the middle, this one. These are all parenchymatous cells there, right? But we name them differently. You can see columnar cells here without having any intercellular spaces in between. These columnar cells are known as palisade, right? And just below this columnar cell, the spongy mesophyll. Spongy mesophyll, why? Because it is able to retain much of water, it has much of chloroplast to undergo photosynthesis, and it has much of intercellular spaces in between. You can see that much of the intercellular spaces are there, since they are randomly arranged, right, children? Keep one thing in your mind, that whenever you are explaining this mechanism of stomatal transpiration, the only word you have to use here is diffusion. Water is lost due to diffusion. Now, why diffusion? That we are going to discuss. Okay, children? See that here I have drawn a xylem vein. This is just to show you that whatever cells are there in the leaf, they are having a water supply through the xylem vein network. So okay, one cell receives water, and then you know that each and every cell would receive water through endosmosis, and all the cells would become turgid at one point, right? All the mesophyll would also be receiving water, so all the cells would be turgid at one point. Children, plants do have a mechanism, right? We know that one turgidity is due to endosmosis, and some of the water is also coming along the channels of the wall, and then you won't be calling it osmosis, you'll be calling it imbibition there, isn't it? So water movement is through two things here. First is into the cell, making it turgid, this is osmosis, and second one is along the walls. It doesn't convert a cell turgid, it makes the overall appearance of the leaf turgid, right children? This along the cell wall movement is known as imbibition. Then cell have a cooling phenomena. Once the water is filled in, they tend to heat up, right? And they diffuse out, I mean, they just release a very thin film of water. Again, I have to erase all this, otherwise you'll get confused. Let me use a different color. So since all the cells are turgid now, they are having much of water, right? Some water is moving along the cell walls to make it, I mean, this is through imbibition. So both the processes are working as of now, imbibition and osmosis, endosmosis rather. And after some time, the cells, since they are very much turgid, the temperature inside the cell increases and they tend to diffuse some water out as a thin film. I mean, if you make a cell this way, so it will, since it is turgid, as a cooling mechanism, the way we sweat, sweating is a cooling phenomena. Whatever extra heat is there, it goes off from the body through sweat. Similarly, cells do release some water in the form of a thin film around them. This is in the form of vapors only, and this is a kind of cooling of the cell is done through this mechanism, right children? Now what you have to notice is the lower epidermis is having the stomata. That means the water will be lost from this pathway. This is lower epidermis. That's why we always say stomata are present on the lower epidermis. Always understand that in the leaves, wherever the stomata is present, it always has some of the exclusive space for itself. That's the substomatal space. That means around the stomata, we never accommodate any of the cells. Why? Because to make the gaseous exchange or the water vapor exchange easy, some space should be remaining vacant here, right children? So after some time, when all the cells will be releasing a thin film of water, water is also present in the form of imbibition, but we are not counting that imbibition water as of now. We are counting the one which is released in the form of vapor by the individual cell, and it is accumulated around the cell as a thin film like this, right? And this water vapor, after moving intercellular spaces, it will come and it will accumulate in the substomatal space. That's why you can see so much of blue dots here. This is just to tell you that there is a saturation of water vapors present in the substomatal space, right? That means concentration wise, this area is much higher in water vapors when compared to the atmospheric moisture. And since stomata are open, in that case the water will move from the stomata from higher concentration to lower concentration. This is how water vapors are lost through transpiration. But children must understand that immediately these water vapors, they don't start traveling in atmosphere. They remain somewhere accumulated around the stomata only, and when the wind blows, it takes all the water vapors along with. That's why when you are standing under a tree or you are moving across a forest and the wind blows, you feel the wind to be very, very cold. Why? Because it is just wiping off all the water vapors which are accumulated at the outer side of the stomata. I hope this much is clear to you, but you also understand that this exchange was only based on diffusion because there is no involvement of semi-permeable membrane. The stoma was open, therefore the water vapors were able to escape out. The main requisition was the concentration of water vapor should be higher in and it should be lower out. That means on a dry day transpiration would be more. But what if it is humid? If it is humid, that means the concentration of water vapor outside the leaf is comparatively higher. In that case, since it is a passive, diffusion is a passive movement, always from high to low. In case humidity is much outside, in that case transpiration would be negligible. Always understand this. On a hot sunny day, on a windy day, because every time the water vapors are taken, I mean they are not able to accumulate around the stomata, they are taken or blown away. This is something that eases off the process of diffusion. I hope this much is clear to you, dear. And if you have any queries regarding all the 3 videos that you have seen today, if you have any issues, kindly message me. Thank you.